All right, back. Here we go. Here we go. Back up. Back up. All right. Here we go. All right. So if you coming back, appreciate it, man. I'm trying to give everybody an opportunity to come back. I had some difficulties with the sound, but we should be back on. So I'm gonna go over to Instagram for just a moment and let everybody know that I am up, ready to go. Let everybody know that I am up and ready to go. Let me put this here. I'm getting right. Getting right. All right. So appreciate you guys. If you are on right now, appreciate you waiting. I had to reboot so I could get everything going in the right direction. It's back on. It's back on. All right. So I'm back on. All right. All right. Get back. So we got somebody back. All right. We'll get this right. This is just first run. I'm gonna be doing these quite regular, so it's all good. If we missed anybody, I got one individual who's on now, so I appreciate whoever that is. I am gonna give just a couple more minutes though. I'm back up, so hopefully if somebody comes to the live here on Instagram, I'll let you know. But I am back up. I am back up. I am back up. Tell a friend, man. Tell a neighbor. Tell your auntie. Tell her to log in. So we back up. We are back up. Back up. All right, Jr. What's up, dog? Hey, did you try to go to YouTube? If so, man, it's back up now. That I had an issue with the sound, so you can check back over on YouTube if that works better for you. I'm gonna keep this on live for Instagram as well, so we good to go. Either way, we good to go, man. I'm gonna give a couple more minutes, man, because of that. I had that technical difficulty. If you can hear me, put a one. If you can hear me, if you can hear me either on Instagram, put a one. If you hear me on YouTube, please put a one. I just need to know that you guys can hear me. Put a one for me. If you're on Instagram, put a one in the comment. If you're on YouTube, put a one for me. All right, bet. Appreciate that, brother. If you're on YouTube, could you please put a one in the chat? Let me know you can hear me. I had quite a few folks on there before, man, and unfortunately I had to reboot that thing. So put a one in the chat. All right. If you're on YouTube, put a one. Let me know you can hear me on YouTube. Please put a one before I get rolling. I don't want to just get to rolling and somebody already texted me talking about they couldn't hear me. Yeah, I've been good, man. I've been good, man. How you been since the last time I saw you? Been good. All right. If you're on YouTube, please put a one so I know you hear me. Please, someone on YouTube, if you're on YouTube. What's up? What's up, Jax? So I'm going live. I'm supposed to be on YouTube tonight, but I had some technical difficulties. So if you're falling in here on Instagram, just know that we will, once I get everything right, I will be doing these most of the time from either YouTube um, or a closed group that I'll tell you guys about tonight. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get it rolling. All right. So, yeah, I understand that, Jay. Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. So whether you're joining me on Instagram or you're joining me on YouTube, I appreciate both of you. Okay. And thank you for that. Somebody just let me know that they could hear me on YouTube. So I appreciate you all stopping in on tonight. Um, one of the things that I've come to the realization is that we all have a story, a superpower, right? We all possess that. And when I watch the superheroes, these different shows, Spider-Man or Batman or Superman, right? And one thing that I recognize is they're always in the shadow until there's a need for them to come out and do something miraculous. And so, I know that we all have a superpower within us. It's just sometimes we don't know what that looks like. How do we pull that out? And so what I wanted to do on the video tonight is, if you know me, I give a conversation based on getting you all to just think differently about yourself, your situation. Most of my encounters are with the young professional, and typically they're coming out of college. However, the story is true for just about anybody who was once told that if I just go to school, I get a degree, I'll be set for life, I'll be good to go. And understanding now that that's not really the truth, right? But there's much more to the story than we've been told. And sometimes when you're backed into a corner, like many individuals are right now, with, work being consolidated or being, shut down for a period of time, people not able to go here, go there, no income is coming in. Now it requires a person to start looking at things differently. At least we should, right? Um, that's fast facts, right, JR? So, so one of the things that I know is that there is a whole nother part of this game of life that we just don't really know about, right? So, in this conversation this evening, for some of you, it's not the first time that you've heard this conversation. For some of you, it might be the first time. But what I want to do is give you guys an opportunity to think about right now and what's really going on behind the scenes. And I don't mean from a puppeteering thing. I mean just from you and how you exist in the world today, and what you're able to do with your own uh, talents, the ability to control yourself, your mentally, psychologically, and using certain mental cues to be able to push yourself in the right direction. So that's what I want to share with you tonight. Now, some of the information that I will discuss with you, it can create cognitive dissonance. I use that word a lot. It just simply means that it's new information. It sounds different. It's not what I'm used to. And in some individuals, because what you may hear could go against tradition, it could go against everything that you've heard or have been led to believe to be true. It creates an uneasiness. And for some people, that uneasiness, they tuck their tail and go, right? Or some people say, man, I can't get past the idea or the thought that this in fact could be true. So that's what happened with me. It was just at a point where I knew that there was a crossroads for me, and it was either that I had to really pull myself together and start to go in a direction that was going to give me the opportunity to go through life, like and start to see things for what it is, to really be at a point now that I'm able to talk to you all about these truths of who you are. So I'm going to share with you guys two books on tonight. Now, let me just be very clear. This is a conversation that I'm starting tonight, but I was telling my wife earlier, I've been pushed into a position that I've got to put this stuff out. I've been talking about doing a lot with regard to inspiring you guys, giving you information. I have just a vast amount of information. As I look at just some of the books, these are just some of the books right here. Let me just show you. This isn't even including the two that I'm going to share with you tonight. These are just some of the books that I read. In fact, my wife and I, we had to clean the garage out. I have tubs full of books. These are just books that I read because what I understand is the only way that a person can really get where you got to go in life is your willingness to have an open mind, be open to information, but you got to go seeking it. And a lot of people don't go seeking knowledge. And if you follow the scripture, which is the ancient text left for us to follow, it says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." So when you don't have knowledge, what do you think happens? So that's what this is all about. So tonight, this is going to just spark off the first of many conversations on this topic. I've already, if you follow me specifically on Instagram, I've already started doing some slow pace showing you how to laptop, desktop, and an internet connection earn money. But tonight, I want you guys to dig just a little bit deeper and understand where we have to go as human beings so that we can look at situations like this and live beyond it, live above it. All right. So I'm going to share with you two aspects tonight, but I think you'll enjoy it. And like I said, I'm not going to keep y'all on here for long. My anticipated start time was 8:30, but we had technical difficulties. But we're here now. Appreciate it again, YouTube, Instagram. But what we're going to do, man, is we're going to dig in. All right. So the first book that I'm going to read a little bit something from tonight is called The Science of Getting Rich. All right. This is that book right here. Now, again, if you're on Instagram, you can basically just go to the link in the bio and you'll be able to find this book. If you're on YouTube, you could just go down to the description. Either way, though, or just DM me. I'll send it to you. All right. So I'm going to read a little bit out of this book, and then I'm going to read from another book. If you've ever heard of Reverend Ike, Reverend Ike is that dude, but he was essentially a black sheep in the theological world, if you will, because of his take on the Bible, how he viewed himself with regard to being a child of God, and then how he preached that. So I'm showing you two because one is based on a science of getting rich. The other one is based on a doxology or a doctrine, if you will, but they're both saying the same thing. All right. Now you can see I definitely get it in with this one because the cover is ripped. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dig in and I'm going to read just a little bit about this book. All right. This is past the preface. So we're into the actual chapter 1. Okay. All right. So again, I'm reading from The Science of Getting Rich. I'm going to just read a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and give you some conversation. All right. So whatever may be said in praise of poverty, the fact remains that no one can live a really complete or successful life unless they're rich. We can't achieve our greatest potential unless we have plenty of money. For to develop our gifts and talents, we must use many things, and we can't have those things unless we have money to buy them with. Now, let me pause right here. Okay. So when we talk about money right now, I know it means different things to a lot of different people, and that's not what this is about. However, you have to understand, even in times like this, money is an issue, right? Money is an issue, right? If you're not working, money is an issue. So what we have to be able to do now is use these philosophies. Now, let me go back and say this. I did not talk about the author in this. His name is Wallace Wattles, right? And in this book, The Science of Getting Rich, the original published date on this book, let me go in here, is 1910, right? 1910, y'all. So what I'm saying to you is the philosophies in this book that are talking about you as a human being, how you're able to use your ability to think, your God-given ability to think. Okay? The thing that separates you from a pig or a horse is your ability to think. So being able to use that is what this book is about, but in 1910, and there's books that come before this one. So with that being said, This is not a new philosophy. This is not new information, but what you have to understand is information is handled differently. It's taken in and then disseminated differently based on the original version given to you. So when you hear me say about the narrative is the story. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is what I'm going to read from here is going to be the same thing I'm going to read from Reverend Ike's perspective. So if you can start to understand that these are universal laws that are being spoken of, then the easier you can maybe manage your life. Okay, I don't want to step on anybody's toes with regard to what you believe or what you believed in up to this particular point. I'm just showing you something that might get you to say, All right, let me continue. All right. People develop themselves, mind, soul, and body by using things and going places. And in today's money oriented society, we must spend money to have those things and go those places. Our world has advanced so far and become so complex that even the most ordinary man or woman requires a great amount of wealth compared to any time in the past to come even close to fulfillment. Now, ultimately, this book titled The Science of Getting Rich is going to break down to you how we are to live. And when I say live, I don't mean by, oh, when a person says thank you, you're welcome. I don't mean like that. However, common pleasantries, those things you should have if you have manners, and that's what you would use. But that's not what that's about. What this is saying is how you live your life from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, and what you believe to be true about yourself, and the things that you allow to either become a part of your program or rejecting from your program. That's what this book is about. But the common theme is if you use these universal laws, these universal truths that will work, whether a person believes in them or not. This is what you got to understand. Whether a person believes in these things or not, they are still going to operate. Okay, so that's what this book is talking about with regard to what this book is intended to do. All right. Let me skip down. An inalienable right. All of life has one purpose: development. Everyone naturally wants to become all that they are capable of becoming. It's inherent in human nature. We can't help wanting to be all that we can be. And everything that lives has an inalienable right to all the development it's capable of attaining. Okay. Our founding fathers called this the pursuit of happiness. Now, of course, when they say our founding fathers, we're talking about those individuals who didn't really find anything, okay, but who are laying stake to this society, if you will. This, if you're in the United States, the United States. If you're in Europe, if you're where have you, right? You didn't find anything. You can't find something that was already there. But as we know in history, that's how it's referred to. All right. So, in the pursuit of happiness, that's what it's called. And if you think about it, that's what you thought you were doing when you went to college, right? That's what I thought. I'm going to get this 4-year degree. I'm going to separate myself from the rest of the pack. I'm going to just land into success, not knowing that I really was no further along in knowing anything about myself or what I wanted to do in life. So there it is. All right. Everyone has the right to the free and unrestricted use of all the things they need for their fullest mental, spiritual, and physical development. In short, we all have the right to be rich. So this is the text that I will continue reading from. Now, again, I highly suggest grab this, please. Grab this book, please, because we're going to continue reading. I'd love for you to have it. There is a link in the description. Again, if you're on YouTube, that link is down in the description. If you're on Instagram, just DM me. I got you. All right, now let me go over here to Reverend Ike's Secret for Health, Happiness, and Prosperity for You. All right, now this is essentially a science of living study guide. Now notice the science of getting rich, the science of living. This right here, okay, 1910, Reverend Ike, more like 1960s. All right. Now this particular book, I believe, came out in 1970. Let me see here. I'll tell you exactly. This was not set up the same. Let me see. 1969. There we go. All right. So I'll put some links in my YouTube as well, so you guys can see some Reverend Ike videos. But anyway, let me read something that I found very important for the time. All right. Now, when we think about the science of getting rich, this is a psychological thing that we're talking about. We're not talking about anything other than psychology. But I've got to reference the Reverend Ike piece because some people will not be able to resonate with the message if there's not some type of reference to a higher power. Now, I'm not saying that anything other than science is saying the same thing theology is saying, just science says energy. Theology says spirit, right? So that's kind of how you've got to look at this thing. So I've got to reference both because I'm trying to resonate with where you are so you can see the bigger picture here. Now, Reverend Ike, again, this book is down in the description. I highly recommend you get this, not for any other reason than you can better understand the Bible from a psychological perspective using the same universal laws, right? So you got to understand this is important because this is how you will control everything around your environment when you can understand these things that were left here for you and for me. Okay. All right. So this is titled Chapter 1, You Are What You Feed Your Mind. Okay. It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. Now, that can be found in the book of Matthew's chapter 4, verse 4. But if you look at what that's saying, right, from a psychological interpretation, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. Now, man cannot live by bread alone with the respect of not eating to sustain life through eating food, right? But man cannot live by bread alone with respect to you can't live your life by just simply existing and just being here. There's more to your life that comes from just eating the proverbial or psychological bread of life. In other words, just getting up and living life, but more so you're living your life based on the words that come from the mouth of God. Now, when we talk about the mouth of God, what you've got to understand is from a psychological interpretation, this is what it's saying is that the mouth of God from a Greek perspective would mean you. So what you have to understand is the word God comes from Greek language. When they referred to God, God was a deity. Okay, and many times gods were fashioned based on that individual, right? So people are essentially immortalized as gods, but that was a man or a woman, god or a goddess. So when you understand the Greek language a little bit better and understand how that came to be, this is really saying you. Okay, this is really saying you. So when you talk about every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God, that proceeds out of your mouth, okay? So you meaning God, you meaning you are your own creator. You are an expression of the higher power. Okay. So that's what's going on here. So a science of living principle. You will never get any further in life than the ideas in your mind. It is important to feed your mind only right ideas. So I'm reading this because here's where we are right now. If you want to believe in what the world is telling you with respect to whatever this thing is called. There's a story I like to tell of a hot dog vendor who sold very fine hot dogs by the side of the road. His business was booming. People loved his hot dogs and they bought more and more. The man believed in his business and the need for someone to do what he was doing. This man was so busy advertising and selling his hot dogs and making lots of money that he didn't even have time to read the newspaper or listen to the radio. Reminds myself, I see myself in this. That's me. Okay. Consequently, he never heard a word about a predicted recession or the need to cut back to save the economy. Now, what does that sound like right now? Instagram? What does that sound like right now? Facebook? YouTube? That sounds like the world's conversation right now. Look at how these companies now, of course, I understand if you want to subscribe to the reason why it's happening, that's on you. What I'm saying though, in this story, this man was so busy, he never looked at any of the news. Watch what happens. Consequently, he never heard a word about a predicted recession or the need to cut back to save the economy. As long as he continued to offer his delicious hot dogs, his customers bought them. He kept selling and they kept buying. Then one day, his well educated son told him that an economic recession was coming. His son told him that people wouldn't have enough money to buy his hot dogs, and the hot dog vendor believed this, so he quit advertising. Mm. He quit trying to sell his tasty hot dogs. He started ordering less. He even went so far as to take down the sign at his roadside stand. And sure enough, people stopped coming to his stand. People stopped buying his hot dogs and he went broke. Then he thought to himself, how smart my son is predicting this. Now, first off, his son was a jabroni, okay? And I like how it says right here, his well-educated son. So I know individuals right now who will tell you that the only way you can be well-educated is if you have a college degree. So I'm pretty sure that's what this book is referring to, a well-educated, his son. But now listen, here's some things you got to understand right now. If you don't understand the other universal laws that exist, I'll explain them over time. But here's one right here that I'm going to break out today. And I'm going to end with this explanation. The universal law says, the law of vibration says, if I operate in a specific vibration, a specific frequency, the experiences that I will encounter will mirror that vibration. Now, with regard to this tasty hot dog vendor, prior to his educated son coming and telling him, he was so dialed into his business that he never heard anything about a recession, never entertained it. All he could think about was his business, the prosperity. As long as I am serving these hot dogs up, the people are coming. He believed in it. I got a product everybody wants, because if they didn't want it, they wouldn't be buying it. Everybody's telling me how good it is. So think about this now. It wasn't until his son said, Dad, haven't you heard? What are you doing? It's time for you to pack up shop. There's a recession on the way. Now, because he listened to his son, look at what happened. The whole vibration changed for him. You know, that's what these stories, when we talk about the Bible, that's what the stories are supposed to mean for you and I, to stop and look at it from a psychological perspective. So that's why I love Reverend Ike, because he broke it down in such a way that a person could look at their life and say, man, I get it. This man right here had a hot dog business that was booming, but until his son came and he believed what his son said, because his son must know. His son, oh, my son's well educated, he must know. So he bought into it. And what happened? He prepared for something that wasn't happening. He prepared by ordering less. He took the sign up from the street. In other words, he was making preparations to expect a downfall, a lack. You know, so you got to think about your life right now, fam. When we talk about these books, when we talk about these scriptures, don't you wish maybe somewhere along the way you could have had a chance to look at things different based on the conversation? See, if you don't understand what is happening to you in your life right now, you can't change it. Right? So that's what these books are about. So this is a perfect story of right now what you could choose to do with your life. You could either choose to prepare for something that you don't want to experience, that many people are doing, right? Or you could stop and you could say, well, listen, I mean, based on what's happening, you're having to move and flow in a different direction because of those results. That's all they are, is just results. But you've got to now be able to look at the opportunities that are currently available. See, this is what I know through doing research. People get rich during times like this. The hot dog vendor in that particular story would have kept selling hot dogs. People are going to find ways to buy food. Grocery stores don't close. People, you see what's going on here? But if you subscribe to what the world is telling you, then you will experience what you don't want to experience, but rather you've got to be able to live above your current situation. All right. So that's the conversation that I wanted to introduce you guys to on today. I've been getting a lot of requests with regard to this topic, and so I wanted to give it to you guys. Now, what I would ask that you do is, you know, take some time out to stop and think about where you are in your life right now. What are you going through? What are some things that you wish you just weren't experiencing? And a lot of it is going to be based on what you're willing to accept as the story for you. I mean, so, man cannot live by bread alone, but from those words coming from the mouth of God. And if you understand what I just said to you about that whole translation, where God came from, the real true meaning of it, that is talking about you. It is talking about me. Not that we are the almighty, the ever knowing, the ever present energy, spirit, substance, whatever we choose to identify it as with regard to name. But ultimately, you have the ability, right, to do these things that we're going to continue to talk about between these two books and some other books that I'll introduce to you. So please go to the link either in the bio or you can go right here in the description of YouTube, purchase the books through Amazon. And if you purchase the book, what I'm going to do actually is I will, if you let me know you've gotten one for yourself, I'm actually going to create a group where we can talk much more in depth and create some exercises and activities around this material. But what I want to do is just give y'all an opportunity to see these videos and me read through it. But I really want to dig a little bit deeper where we can do much more activities and I can give you guys some actionable steps. So with that being said, I really appreciate you guys tuning in on tonight. Again, I'll be making much more of the shift over to YouTube, but I wanted to go ahead and handle up the Instagram live tonight because of the technical difficulty. So appreciate you guys coming to Instagram. Appreciate you on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, you can find that through the link in my bio all the way down to the bottom of the page. I've also got other groups. Please take advantage of the .com secrets, as well as the expert secrets. These two books. You can find those or just DM me. I'll send them to you. But if you go through that particular link that I have, I'm going to also funnel you into a group that I have where I'm actually teaching individuals how to earn money in all varieties of ways. All right. But those two books you'll need to have in order to be able to get into those groups using the link. So just DM me. I got you on that. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, instant message me. And then on YouTube, you can leave a comment down below. All right. So appreciate you guys. Talk to you guys soon. Peace and blessings. I'm out. The Messenger. Peace.